back with Richard Reviews. Today we're doing a deposition review on this book here at richardreviews.com/GriffinChestnut here on Richard's YouTube channel titled Griffin Chestnut. Today Richard will be reviewing this book for us, and the book is an old book that he was able to obtain in 2014 by a private seller he found on eBay, proving to his once diabolical, amazing technique in terms of gaining rare pieces on the internet. Richard has searched high and low on Reddit, completing his inward journey, following the footsteps of his mentor. This piece today that Richard will be reviewing for us is titled The Triumph of an Idea, the Story of Henry Ford by Ralph H. Graves. This is a very old piece that Richard had his sights on, high and low, about finding a foothold in the threads of different novelty in the world that we live today. Richard has always been obsessed with certain comics, especially anything of the South Korean nature and the modern Japanese translation culture, which is why he developed his fascination with anime, manga, and Nintendo-based games, which are formalities of Legend of Zelda and Super Mario World Galaxy 3, meaning that the children of the tree will follow into the knowledge of the elders. So Richard understands why it's good to appreciate the stigmatic history behind something such as Henry Ford and how he came to be such an important character in the light of creating a simple car that was affordable for everybody. That car being, of course, the Model T. It wasn't just the Model T's affordability, but the automatic assembly line in terms of his places of construction, which were the physical representation of the Ford company. This was a brilliant notion at the time, and its representation ultimately showed that the growing up line was a positive feedback loop which can give without sadness to any creator, that being Henry Ford himself. This piece delves into Henry Ford's childhood and shows through the faces of darkness what a man can go against a stomp and explain how he's lost to the woods, explaining something such as his revolutionary idea to change the world, which ultimately led to the creation of the interstate highways in North America. So let's look at the piece. It's Richard's piece, so we have to be pretty careful, but we can tell. We're going to look at the cream. Cream is nice. The condition is a little brimwell up here, and there is that plastic creamy nature that is found on top of these relatively old pieces that Richard is able to obtain. This was found through a private seller on Reddit, which Richard was able to obtain. Richard has a bubblance to have a protective bubble against these certain pieces, which can bring into, over time, a deterioration of a prematurely exit wound that can be adult responsibility. So the piece is small, and it's got this film over it. It is hardcover, so and it's not very big. Next to the common hand, you can see it, but it is a nice piece, and the deterioration up here can be found underneath the filmage, and the filmage is seeing better days. You can tell the cream is parting. It's parting a playful dance where the couples and dogs will irritate this part most notably. But the bottom cream is in fairly good condition. Just a little notage over here. The notage is serious. See the cream here? Good cream there. Good cream there, and on the side we have The Triumph of an Idea by Graves and Doubleday, and this is where we have that corrosion towards the end. Looks like there's a stampede of glistfulness that's popping out This was once bustling at the seams, but is now cold and desolate. And on the back we have a continuation of the front, which signifies highlights of the 50-year period in which Henry Ford has become one of America's great industrial powers. Also, the story of his Titan plant at Dearborn. So it goes into Dearborn's plant. Richard was not a huge fan of that. He felt like it was just basing the attack on his relationship to past previous plants, where the groundwork for it wasn't necessarily purified on his genesis, but a growing up storyline, which was a subtraction that begins to take place in the later years of Mr. Henry Ford. So he felt that there was some sort of a link between the importance of the aforementioned interstate highways that were delectable, substantial destiny, that they were going to do everything but save the world towards the end. Inside we have more acrylic nature. This is a side post-it note from the previous owner that was given to Richard through a substantial price. And the price up here we have 50 cents at the Ford Expedition Edition. The Bookshed Benson VT. And there he is, Mr. Henry Ford himself, dialectic man of Natcher, Patcher, and Grimes, a very substantial man. There's a lot of information in here in terms of where he was brought up, how he went about going about his natural field. The Model T cars, which they were all 6 cylinders. The Model T, the way of the new shape of 1926, assembly lines, stuff like that. This was a universal way out in terms of how somebody with this intelligence has lost everything, with one exception, to be officially a man in the 1900s. And he rebuilded the destiny of the Ford Notion car. Here we have Mr. Henry Ford and Charles A. Lindbergh. And this is ultimately the gross nature of this piece. So it's a very old piece, but Richard takes very good care of it, and he gives it 2 thumbs up for Mr. Henry Ford being a immaculable final character to his book reading endeavor, where he was able to label him off as the king and write for him thoroughly so through all the other Japanese integral, influential part that had on Richard's childhood versus his adulthood. This is why he agrees with Link when he wants to defeat Ganondorf with the Master Sword. It requires a poetic close to the final chapter, and this is how Henry Ford got into the minds of the world at large before he was able to do so. The essence of childhood is strong within Richard, and the final blow to adulthood is what Henry Ford can show the world throughout. This has been Richard Review, The Triumph of an Idea, the story of Henry Ford. This is Richard Reviews.